Hello, Year 6, and we're going to continue our look today at online safety. So you've learnt about the SMART rules, and today we're going to focus in on one of those rules, which is R is for reliable. So we're going to think about how do we find reliable information online. Now we all know when we go online we use the search engine to find our information. All of us have done that before, and there are lots of different search engines to choose from. You've got Google or Bing, or you've got alternatives like DuckDuckGo as well. So there are lots of search engines to choose from, but they all work in a very similar way. And when we go and find our information, we are looking for reliable information, trustworthy information. So we're going to look at how we can do that using our search engines. So you'll know if you want to use a search engine, you go to the website, you enter your words into a search bar, and you press go. But the words you put into that search bar are really important. And choosing the right words for a successful search are the key to finding reliable information. So for example, right, let's say I want to find out what the temperature is on the surface of Mars. Okay, so if I was going to ask a person, if I was going to go and ask a teacher, I'd go to that teacher and say, what is the temperature on the surface of Mars? I'd give them that sentence. That's the question I would ask. But for a search engine, we actually don't need all of those words. We just need the keywords from that sentence. So Mars surface temperature, although it's not a correct sentence, if we send a search engine with those three words, it's going to go away and it's going to find the websites that contain those three words. The most relevant ones, the ones that the search engine thinks are the most useful for us, will appear at the top of the list. And then as you go down the list, there'll be less relevant websites listed. So normally the information we want is going to be in the first few websites. So you can see here on the screen I've got a little example, Mars surface temperature, and if I use that, chances are the first website or the second website is going to have the information I want. So picking out your keywords for your search term and thinking carefully about what information you want to find out is an important part of getting reliable, trustworthy information first time. Okay, now we might want to be a bit more sophisticated than that, a bit more intelligent than that. And this is where we can start filtering our results using some tools that are built into search engines. So one tool is quotation marks. So for example, if I'm looking for a phrase, a certain phrase within a website, what I can do is I can put my search term in speech marks. So if I was looking for blue Pokemon in particular, and I wanted a website that said blue Pokemon, I could put that in speech marks. And it would only return me websites, it would only find me websites that have blue Pokemon written in them. Not anywhere, they can't be separated, they have to be right next to each other, like I put them in speech marks. So if you put them in speech marks, the website has to contain exactly what you put inside those speech marks. So that's a really good way of finding things that exactly fit your keywords. So a really useful one if you know you're going to have to narrow down your search. Another thing we can do is we can use the minus symbol. So if we're searching and we put minus a word, it will return us websites that don't contain that word. So for example, again, if I'm looking for my blue Pokemon, but I don't want to find out about Squirtle, I could say, right, bring me websites that have the words blue Pokemon written in it, but not the word Squirtle. Okay, so it's a way of filtering out some of the websites with information that we don't need. So we've got the speech marks for specific phrases, and we've got the minus for words we want to avoid. So another example here is if I wanted to find out about Roman emperors, but I didn't want to find out about Caesar, I could put Roman emperors minus Caesar. And that way it would return websites that had information about emperors, but not information about Caesar. So once you've clicked go and you click search, you've got to make sense of your results. You've got to know which ads you want to click on. So how do we figure out which ones are reliable? How do we know which ones we might want to avoid? So here's a few tips. Top links. The top links on your website are the ones at the top of the page. And as I've said, they are usually the most reliable. It is, however, worth scrolling down and just checking, because sometimes companies will pay to have their websites at the top of the list. So next to that link, it will say ad, because it's an advertisement. They've paid to be there. Now, you might want to scroll past those adverts to the top recommended links by the search engine because they may be more relevant. Advertised links pay to be there, and when you click on them, they get charged. But they might not necessarily be the best ones. You might want to scroll past the ad links to the top links from the search engine for your most relevant and trustworthy information. You can also look at the domain names. Domain name is the last bit of the name of a website, so like co.uk or .com. Some addresses, like our school website, end in .sch.uk, or a government website would end in .gov.uk. And if you saw those websites, you'd know that they were pretty reliable because the government information should be reliable. We should be able to trust the information put out by our government, but you might also see .co.uk's, .coms. Now that doesn't mean they aren't reliable, but it does mean you need to put a question mark about do you trust the information you find on this website. So once you've chosen a site, you're going to find your information. We still need to be critical about what we read. We still need to think about, right, this information, does it sound right? Does it fit with the other things that I know? Okay? The internet isn't really checked for accuracy. Anybody can buy a website, anybody can write on a website. So you need to still have your brain engaged and be critical. Think about, do I trust all of this information? Now, if there's anything that makes you think, I'm not sure that's true, I'm not sure I agree with that information, you can go and check with another source, either another website or a printed book. You can ask an adult that you think might know. You could check with a specialist, an expert. You could try and check it against a .gov website. This is called verification, where you check your information against another source. So you're verifying your information is trustworthy and it is correct. Another thing to look out for is bias. Bias is when somebody's got a reason to be positive or negative about something. So, for example, if you were on the Aston Villa website, they're going to be very biased towards positive stories towards that football club. Whereas on BBC, they might be a bit more honest and straightforward about the news from that club. So you've got to think, what's the bias? Who's got an interest in this news? Have they got a reason to give me untrustworthy information? Okay, so here's what I want you to do today. I want you to describe how a search engine can be used to find specific information. So think about your keywords, think about using your speech marks, think about using your minus. Okay. Silver, explain how to find reliable information online by writing rules to find trustworthy information. So I would like you to write a set of rules for somebody to follow on how to use a search engine effectively to find that trustworthy and reliable information. Gold, understand how domain names indicate how trustworthy a site is. That can be included in your rules. Think about your .govs, your .schs. Yeah. Remember, .co.uk, .com doesn't mean it is untrustworthy, but it means you should be critical. And then the challenge is, I want you to find out about King Henry VIII's castles. Can you suggest some keywords and some search terms that would help me to do that? Okay, guys, that's it for today. I'll see you soon.